Today I'm going to do something that I have never done before and something I don't plan on doing much of in the future. I'm going to give a really negative review. And being an author and an online content creator, I write a ton of reviews and for products and services. And I try to stick to just reviewing the stuff that I love or at the very least think are good and really skip the poor and bad stuff just from a principle standpoint. But in this case, I'm going to make an exception because the service was so bad, was so terrible that I felt compelled to make this to save others from making the same mistake that I did. But I really hate the nameless, faceless critics and negative people out there. So I wanted to make this a video review and say, hi, I'm Chris Vincent. I'm a writer, entrepreneur, and I'm going to tell you about my extremely terrible experience with Singlehop hosting. Singlehop's a hosting provider, and they do other stuff located in Chicago, Illinois. And I want to let you know, too, I'm doing this review 4 months, actually a little bit more than 4 months after the final event that caused me to cancel, because I wanted to let the feelings subside, the immediate anger subside before I did like a rage review, just went out of control. And honestly, I still feel very negative about the situation, so I'm doing the review now. But I'm going to admit, too, I was probably not the easiest customer to deal with, and I probably did some things wrong. So I'm not perfect, but frankly, these guys are far from it. And before I get into bashing them, let me tell you the two things I like about Singlehop. The hosting in my experience was very quick. I had a virtual dedicated server, very fast, site load times, so that was good, and that's something good that they have. And the pricing is very competitive. It's some of the lower pricing in the industry. So they have low prices and fast hosting, but the service is awful. So years ago, let me kind of get into my story so it makes sense. Years ago, I started on the entrepreneurial path, and I wanted to build some websites, and I had this plan to do tons back then. And so a buddy I knew who had done some internet marketing to create leads had a virtual dedicated server. He actually had one with Singlehop. So at the time, I built out like 100 websites, and I said, hey, can I buy a block of space from you? And we actually kind of had a little partnership thing. And I ended up, he ended up setting me up like a reseller account on his virtual dedicated hosting. And so I got on there and just started loading sites, and then we started loading more, and then eventually I started doing websites for small business owners. And instead of kind of correctly setting them up their own login, I just started throwing them all in there. And so I had one login, but there's a couple hundred more sites in there. There's a ton of sites. And it was getting to the point where we're using more of the server bandwidth and more of the server in general than my buddy was. So about 2 years later, we looked at that, and he kind of wanted to get rid of his websites anyways. He was doing something else. And so I went to Singlehop because this is all I knew, and wanted to get a quote for my own server. And I figured the migration would be easy that way and would be hassle-free. And we also quoted some other guys, and Singlehop was pretty competitive. And so I said, sure, we'll go with Singlehop. So we set up a new server. And here's the big point I want to make with the migration. If you're looking at migrating to Singlehop, don't do it. They really screwed this up. First of all, I asked them to notify me after I said yes, go ahead and bill me to get started. I said, just let me know, have someone from the migration team, I talked to the sales team, have someone from the migration team contact me, and because I had some things I wanted to rearrange. What I wanted to do is I wanted to set up sub-accounts and do it during the migration process and do it cleanly, so I wouldn't have clients go down and my stuff wouldn't go down. And I said, do that, and then once we've done the migration, then I'd like to, then I'll be able to close the old server down and yada, yada, yada. So no one did that. And like basically a week went by, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, your new server is live. And they just moved it over verbatim. And so that would have been kind of crappy. I would have had to go back and do the fixes. But when they moved it over, a bunch of stuff failed. I had a bunch of clients go down, a bunch of our websites went down, email wasn't working. This went on for like 2 weeks. Lost some big clients, lost thousands of dollars of business during this time frame. Customers yelling and angry at me because their email was down, their website was down. And Singlehop was I mean, they helped me fix it, but they were very negative about it, and not really helping. You know, they wanted me to purchase more management package from them and all this stuff, and were very limited on what they'd help me with. And not only did they not migrate it correctly, which is included in the new server, but they also didn't even follow the instructions that I had. Because they didn't follow the instructions, my old server was never canceled, and so I got double billed. So luckily, I was able to contact billing, and they gave me a credit towards the next month. They didn't refund me the money, but they gave me a credit, so that was okay. So that was a huge screw up for me. I was really pissed, but I said, well, it's done now, and we'll work on getting things fixed and migrated over. Well, while we were doing that over the next 3 months, we had a server breach, and could have been, and this is where we screwed up. We probably had poor passwords, or one of the WordPress sites got hacked or something, because somebody hacked in, or a bot hacked into the server and was running malicious scripts, doing spam, and so a lot of our emails stopped working because we got flagged as a kind of black hat out there in the ISP world, and so that was a huge issue. And of course, Singlehop freaked out and said, "Hey, you're running malicious scripts from this IP, and we're getting notified, and you need to fix this." And you need to fix this now, a kind of attitude. And I said, well, I don't know what's going on. You know, we need to figure it out. And they go, well, if you're on management, we'd be able to help you, but since you're not, we can't help you. And I was already pissed from the migration, and so this really irritated me. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to work with these guys anymore. And then the final straw was they basically said, fix this in the next 24 hours, or we're gonna shut your server down. And so that was the last straw for me. That they're basically pay us or fix it. Pay us and we'll fix it, or fix it yourself, and we're gonna shut you down, and then in the next day. And so to me that was my last straw. And so rather than this is where I was, rather than tell them, hey, screw you guys, I just didn't say anything and said, yeah, I'm working on it. And then I moved all my sites out of there and canceled because it was the last straw for me. And honestly, they were horrible during that process. Obviously, they were hammering me and calling me, emailing me, what's going on. So it was just added fuel to the fire. And frankly, out of a quick necessity, I just moved my sites to GoDaddy shared hosting. And it was awesome. Those guys were really easy to work with. GoDaddy is very helpful. And now that I've launched a lot more sites with them, they're giving me a lot of special deals on domains, and the service is great. Now, the service isn't as fast, and I think that GoDaddy can nickel and dime me a little bit. But honestly, for me in this situation, service is much more important. I'll pay more for better service, and I've learned that lesson. So as far as Singlehop goes, if you care about your data, your migration, your uptime, and you want good service, I wouldn't work with them. Frankly, I wouldn't work with them, period. They're just one of the worst companies I've ever dealt with as far as hosting or any service provider, bar none. And so that's kind of my summation here of this review. Check out the website for more details, and thanks for watching.